Good morning, gorgeous. Yes, you. Welcome back to Rosie Rooted and Rising. Before we go any further today, let me check in with you. If you've been moving through your day feeling a little stretched, a little depleted, or like everyone needs something from you, you're in the right place, sis. Because this conversation isn't about doing more, it's about deciding what no longer gets automatic access to you. Sometimes you're not tired because you're doing too much. You're tired because you're doing too much for too many people with too little protection around your time, your energy, and your peace. Today we're talking about boundaries. I know, boundaries, right? The ones many of us are afraid to set because we don't want to make other people uncomfortable. Not the kind you announce, not the kind you weaponize, but the kind you use to prove a point. The real kind. The kind that doesn't make noise but quietly changes your life. Somewhere along the way, boundaries got misunderstood. They became associated with distance, with people pulling back, with things feeling different. Not because boundaries are cold, but because they change the dynamic. Especially when women set them, especially when women who are capable set them, and especially when women who have always shown up decide to stop stretching themselves thin. Boundaries don't mean you care less. They mean you're no longer available in ways that cost you your peace. They teach people, let me start that again. They teach people how to treat you based on how you treat yourself. Let me say that again. Boundaries teach people how to treat you based on how you treat yourself. And if you've spent most of your life being dependable, the fixer, the one who handles things, the one who keeps it together, when you start setting boundaries, people don't hear clarity right away. They hear change. And change can feel uncomfortable, especially for people who benefited from how accessible you used to be. Let me tell you how I used to do boundaries. Well, actually, let me be transparent. I didn't. I thought being available meant I was loving. I thought flexibility meant I was easy to work with. I thought always saying yes meant I was dependable. I wore those beliefs proudly. What I didn't see was how often I was abandoning myself to keep everything running smoothly for everyone else. In real life, it looked like agreeing when I was already tired, showing up when I needed rest, and carrying resentment I didn't feel allowed to name. I didn't feel appreciated, but I also didn't feel permitted to pull back. And eventually, I had to face a grown woman truth. People weren't taking advantage of me. They were responding to the access I allowed. So don't get mad at them. People don't cross boundaries you don't set. They follow the access you give them. That realization wasn't freeing at first. It was actually humbling because it meant I had a role in my own exhaustion. So, if you're the person people call when they need a favor, they need advice, they need help, quote unquote, real quick, they need emotional support at inconvenient times, But no one ever asks, hey, do you have the capacity for this, Rosie? Or even, is this a good time for you? This episode is for you, girl. If you're the one who answers texts immediately when your body is tired, keeps commitments you made when you were exhausted, and then wonder why you feel irritated afterward, nothing is wrong with you. You're not out of alignment. You're just in a season where being endlessly available doesn't fit anymore. And know this, that isn't failure, that's growth. At this stage of life, you've already proven yourself. You've shown up. You've carried responsibility. You've handled weight. So boundaries now aren't about confidence. They're about discernment, about knowing the difference between what you can do and what you're actually meant to do. You start noticing what drains you, what nourishes you, and what simply isn't yours to carry anymore. And once that truth settles in, you move differently. Not louder, not harder, just clearer. Boundaries now don't sound sharp. They sound clear. Actually, they are crystal clear. They sound like, I'm not available for that. That doesn't work for me anymore, sweetie. I need more notice. I'm choosing something different now. There's no apology tour, no explanation essay, no replaying the conversation afterwards. It's just truth, spoken calmly and stood by. And clarity can feel uncomfortable when you're used to over explaining, but peace lives on the other side of it. This is the part that took me the longest to understand. Boundaries aren't something you decide once and suddenly you're good at them. They're something you practice on a regular, quietly, imperfectly, and over time. These aren't rules. They're not ultimatums. They're small, repeatable ways I'm learning how to hold myself in this season of my life. Let me walk you through how this unfolded for me. Let me say that again. Let me walk you through how this has unfolded for me. Practice 1. Pause before you say yes. Not everything deserves an immediate answer. If it's a full body yes, you'll feel it. But if your chest tightens, your stomach drops, if your mind starts rearranging your life, that's information. You're allowed to say, let me get back to you on that. Let me think about that. I'll let you know. That pause isn't avoidance, it's awareness. And awareness is a boundary. Practice 2. Stop oversharing to be understood, girl. Just stop. I used to believe that if people understood my reasons, they'd respect my decision. But clarity doesn't need a backstory. Your no is complete without context. You do know that no, N-O, is a complete sentence, right? Sometimes the most respectful thing you can do is stand in your choice quietly. No defense, no convincing, just grounded truth. Practice 3. Decide in advance what you're available for. Boundaries are easier when you decide them before the moment arrives. When you already know what drains you, what energizes you, and what you're no longer willing to stretch for, deciding in advance keeps you from negotiating with guilt. Practice 4. Notice who benefits when you have no boundaries. This one requires awareness. When you start holding boundaries, notice who gets uncomfortable. Not to judge, not to shame, just to notice. Because sometimes resistance isn't a sign you're wrong. It's a sign the dynamic has changed. And not every relationship survives that shift, but you will. When you start setting boundaries, some people adjust, some people resist, some people fall away altogether. And yes, that can hurt. And I can definitely relate to this. But what shows up in its place? Peace, clarity, room to breathe, space to become. You stop feeling pulled in every direction. You start hearing yourself again. If boundaries feel awkward right now, it doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It means you're doing something new. Boundaries aren't about keeping people out. They're about keeping yourself intact. Let me say that again. Boundaries are about keeping yourself intact. And that's not something you apologize for anymore. You don't need to harden to protect yourself. You don't need to disappear to find peace. You just need to decide what gets access and what doesn't. And trust yourself enough to stand by it. Don't be afraid of who you're becoming. Don't apologize for it. Just be who you already are. Until next time, sis y hermana, stay rooted, stay blessed, and keep rising. New episodes every Monday morning.